I just got a message from somebody that is the absolute most exciting comment and message that I've got since I've been posting videos for 2.5 years. This one is like somewhere I'm getting confirmation. And it comes from, let me talk about the user first. I just replied to a comment from the person about the micro and the macro templates. So this individual is seeing the templates and is not as far along as I have as far as doing it, but they're on board with what's going on. And we've talked a little bit, and they used a tool called Chat AI or ChatGPT. I'm not familiar with it. I know that it is somehow a user addressable, some sort of artificial intelligence that people can address. But I haven't used it, and I never even thought about it. But he did, and watch what happened. I'm going to show, this is the message. It was from Brewer 5932, and God, I thank you for this. It's a Jungian analysis of Genesis. User, I presume this is what he put in and asked, please provide a detailed Jungian analysis of Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. And the ChatGPT replied, as an AI language model, I can offer a Jungian analysis of Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, keeping in mind the core concepts and principles of Carl Jung's analytical psychology. It's important to note that this analysis is subjective. Pay attention to that right there, because it is. I find some errors in it. And based on interpretations of the test from a psychological perspective. This is so close, though. This just, I about teared up. Genesis 1 describes the creation of the world in a structured and orderly manner. From a Jungian perspective, this chapter can be seen as a representation of the process of individuation, the psychological journey towards wholeness and self-realization. Here are some key symbolic elements and their corresponding psychological interpretations. Creation of light. Light represents consciousness and awareness. In the context of individuation, it symbolizes the emergence of self-awareness and the differentiation of the ego from the unconscious. Separation of light and darkness. This separation mirrors the individuation process's initial stages, where one begins to differentiate between conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. It implies the recognition and acceptance of one's own shadows. Those are our baggage, our stuff we carry inside that acts out. Creation of the firmament. The firmament, separating the waters above and below, can be seen as a symbolic representation of the division between the conscious and the unconscious realms. Thus, division highlights the need for integrating these two aspects to achieve wholeness. Creation of plants and animals and humans. The gradual emergence of life forms represents the unfolding complexity of the psyche. It suggests the various archetypal patterns and potentials inherent within the individual, waiting to be integrated and expressed. The creation of humans in the image of God. This passage implies the divine spark within each individual, representing the potential for self-realization and the connection to the collective unconscious. Genesis 2 offers a more intimate and symbolic account of the creation of humans and their relationship with God and nature. From a Jungian perspective, this chapter delves deeper into the psychological aspects of the human psyche. Here are some key elements and their corresponding psychological interpretations. Creation of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve can be seen as archetypal representations of the masculine and feminine aspects of the human psyche, respectively. They symbolize the unity and duality within an individual, highlighting the need for their harmonious integration. The Garden of Eden. The garden can be seen as a metaphorical representation of the unconscious, a realm of untapped potential and innate wisdom. It signifies the connection between the conscious ego, Adam, and the unconscious Eve, emphasizing the importance of balance and mutual recognition. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree represents the duality of human existence. By eating from it, Adam and Eve gained self-awareness, symbolizing the acquisition of moral consciousness and the capacity for discernment. This also reflects the individuation processes, awakening of the ego to the unconscious, and the recognition of one's shadow. The serpent is often associated with wisdom, transformation, and the instinctual aspects of human nature. It can be seen as a manifestation of the unconscious, guiding Adam and Eve towards self-discovery and individuation. Expulsion from the garden. The expulsion from the garden represents the loss of the original state of unity and innocence. It symbolizes the necessary journey into a world of experience where individuals must confront the challenges and complexities of life to grow and individuate. All right, well, how cool is that? We still have a long way to go. I am, and like I said, yeah, I got kind of emotional about it. It was, it's a weird thing. There's a drive in me from way back when that I mean, it's in my earlier videos. There's kind of this engine that I have. It's weird. It goes back to childhood and to an abusive home and a Christian home. And my brother and I were very close, 9 and 11. He was 11. And we came home from church one day and he's talking to me about heaven. He had learned about heaven and wanted to go, escape the abuse was such that it was like getting whipped with belts with somebody that's just out of control, just wailing and wailing and wailing, and then grab the next one and go and go and go. And you're welted. I mean, son of a bitch, you get racked, welts, chest, legs, everywhere. It was a very routine kind of a thing. And being told, you're stupid, you're worthless, you're not going to amount to anything. Shut up, say your prayers before you go to bed or you'll die at night. Go to hell, all that. We prayed to Jesus to help. And anyway, that Sunday, I found Larry. He hung himself in the woods to go to heaven. And so I had this very conflicted, this tough start with respect to Christianity and what it was about. And somehow there's, in the background, I'm like looking to find out what is this machine that took my brother. And at some point I recognized that it's fake. It's false. It is not there. And I don't want anybody else to think I'm just going to take my life and go to heaven, leaving people behind to live their lives hurt, wondering what happened. Then you go read some comments from somebody who says, yeah, my wife suffered 10 years of cancer. She's gone to be with the Lord now. And, I'm suffering and I'm hurting. And, it's all I can do to hang on knowing that I'm going to see her someday. And you think, God, what kind of an asshole would take that from them? But then, you look at the greater world and you see at least one political party in the U.S. that thinks somehow that they carry God in their back pocket or something like that. And they're going to go and enact policy against homosexuals and gays and hate them in the name of God's teaching because they can't interpret the teaching. They are nevertheless contained within the teaching as they're showing their fruits. What does this show us? That we're an animal society emergent, that as we're kids, we all play with each other like little animal kids do. Then we grow up and some people get guilt with it, and they create walls so big and so shameful that they're going to, what are they doing? They're acting that out. You can see what is inside of people by what comes out of people, period. So you got people who are using the same material to justify hatred, thinking that that is true. And you look at that and go, yeah, you know what? You're perpetuating more hurt. That has to stop. There's a point where I conflict, but I've been going along at this and going, yeah, nobody's getting this anyway. I'm just bouncing against this wall over here. So this comes through and it's like, oh my God. It's like shaky. It's like, oh yeah, that's it. That's what I'm seeing kind of. It's not exactly right, but it's yeah, that's it. It fits that profile. What doesn't fit? If you're doing things like this, things like, there's variations, the snake, what did it say in there about that? Let me find that real quick. Sorry, I'm not prepared. The serpent. The serpent is often associated with wisdom, transformation, and the instinctual aspects of human nature. It can be seen as a manifestation of the unconscious, guiding Adam and Eve towards self-discovery and individuation. So that is still kind of vague, actually. I find that to be not exactly right. Hang on. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my software here. Okay, so what they're doing, if you look at a lot of material back then, across cultures that are using the template, they might not use the same analogs in the same way. Let me come up with an example here. We've been working with Genesis and the number 40 and how number 40 appears so many times in the Bible, and it appears sequentially in such a manner that it appears that number 40 is an analogous term, which means from the time you decide, I've got to resolve this, to the time you go, now it's taken care of, it's all done, that 40 represents the time it takes for that to occur. That's it. That's a 40 right there. Then you, contemporaneous with this material, Greek mythology. We get one coming along. I use it frequently because it's such an easy comparison. But Jason and the Argonauts, it's a short and it's a simple one. And what do we have? How many Argonauts does Jason sail with? 40 Argonauts. Is that the same thing? It's not. In various works, like in Jesus' work, when he's going from place to place in his ministry, He's got 12 disciples with him. Those 12 disciples represent qualities and characteristics that he's taking on his trip. The Argonautica, the 40 people there, that's what they're using. They're using the number 40 to represent qualities that we're taking along. Number 40 in this is representing something different. So they're using it almost, you look at that and go, well, why would they do that? Why would they do that between cultures? Serpent. Some people have it good. Over here, it's like it's bad. It's not. What is going on? What does this represent? And the representation here, at least, the serpent is represented as something that is tied to the physical. It's on the ground. It is the physical world. It's tempting you to come live life, go party, you just come experience, go see people, go make judgment calls, do all that. Start living life right now. That's what the serpent represents in this case. So the analogs you might dial them in one teaching and then go somewhere else and go, oh, it's different. Oh, downstream. This is more recent, but gosh, I don't even remember the author right now. This template is so prevalent. There is Alibaba, 40 Thieves. Okay, again, this is more recent, but somebody knew that template. The house, the man and the woman live in the house. The conscious and the subconscious live in the world. The man goes and is tempted. He sees gold. He sees a cave. He goes and steals. He takes things from them and brings it to his house. He goes and gathers up things from the world and puts them in his head. But before they can do anything, the 40 thieves, the wife kills them. So it's held a little bit differently, but it's like, well, I'm going to take your 40 and do something different with it. It looks like they're competing with each other in their stories. They use many times the same analogs, but they don't use them in the same way. So that's a fun thing. Yeah. So as you're doing that, pay attention to that this gets deeper as you're going into it. You have to look at once you see the template, that's when you realize that's what they're doing. Because it occurs in a sequence. Luke Skywalker needed to gather up his buddies before he went back to. All right, totally unplanned video. I think we're cracking into something here that is, we're recovering something from history that was hidden. It's hidden in there, but it's always been there. It's there all the time, and it's in everybody's material, even the Christian material. It's in there, even. They're just a lot more, what did they do? They made it easier to carry it. They made it easier to carry that ark. More, yeah, okay. Well, that was it for this video. I wanted to say that I think that it's important. I love this, and I think that there's things coming up ahead that I want to try to engage with that program, perhaps. Things I'm trying to analyze, and it's like I can't quite figure this out. This is... They're making these stories off of their analogous, meaningful terms from 3,500 years ago. Whew. It takes a bit to pick through that. And it takes looking at other material, actually, to understand what is happening on the template elsewhere, to understand, oh, okay. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm looking at the Ark story here, and I'm not quite ready to do the Noah. I'm getting close. The second story has got sizes in there. I want to know what those sizes mean. There's something hidden in there, and I think I know. Argonautica, what do? You build a nice big boat. It's strong. It's got all kinds of capability. It's got God on board, and you've got 40 Argonauts to go with you. You get the Ark. You got you got your sons and their wives and your wife, and all of the animals that are going. So are the animals representing, there's something else going on. I think that the numbers of the ark represent the qualities. Yeah. How weird is that? This is how it has to be figured out. You got to go through and look for comparisons. And then I say, that's a theory. I can't even stand by that, except that elsewhere, they're always doing these things. When they build the boat, it's a certain quality. It's got certain things in it. Something over here, this is happening. Over here, I believe the same thing is happening, but the analogous terms are different. So that's the analysis and why it takes so long to kind of look through, continue to seek comparisons. I'm going through the Bible. I'm still restructuring that to become the right format for finding the template. And I've got all the verses out, but now I've got to go through. I have to read it and analyze each story and put them in the right place. And there are blocks of stories in there, and they're not sized up in the right way. Stephen Langton, Archbishop of Canterbury, 500 years ago, putting in the chapter breaks and verses, I'm taking that out. He hid stuff. He knew what was in there. He made it hard to see. And, okay. That's it for this video. I was just so excited about that. I had to share it. And I don't know if it's very important to many people. It is a big deal, I think, if you think about it. If you can prove Christianity is built on templates, what does that mean? Love one another. See you in the next video.